Hi, Eve here from Vitamin Eve Nutrition Counseling, and today we're going to talk about mindful movement, how you could become the kind of mover you want to be. So in this video, I'm going to use the words movement, exercise, and physical activity all interchangeably. And so I want to start out by jumping in and sharing a story about a commercial that was on air years ago. It was a yogurt commercial. And it showed a woman walking through her apartment looking for something to eat. And above every food item she was looking at would pop up how long she would have to exercise to burn off that food. Now, this commercial has been banned. Can you guess why? Because using exercise or physical activity to purge your calories is actually an indicator, or could be an indicator, of a problem. But what I find so fascinating is that this is a commercial, and to what degree this idea of using exercise or physical activity to burn off our food or to compensate for what we ate, how normalized that's become in our society, such that it was actually on a commercial. In fact, when I saw this commercial years ago on the air, I didn't see anything wrong with that. I actually didn't see it. It wasn't until years later I found out. So that's what I want to talk about today. Why our relationship with exercise or physical activity may be more complicated than we realize. In fact, our relationship with exercise or physical activity begins when we're very young. So what I want you to do right now, and if you want to grab a pen and paper to do this, is take some time to reflect on your relationship with movement growing up. In other words, how did you engage in exercise or physical activity when you were a little kid? Think about your parents or your guardians or any of the adults in the house. How did they engage with physical activity? How about your siblings? Were there places where you could move freely? Did you have access to space? Did you have access to space where you could play and engage in physical activity, a backyard, a front yard, a balcony, a community space, or was that lacking in your environment? How might your environment played a role in your relationship with physical activity? How about your body? When growing up, were you somebody who was more likely to be ill or have injury or pain in your body, or did your body experience trauma? All of these things could actually make it difficult to engage in physical activity. Or were you a strong athlete? Were you picked first? Or were you bullied and picked last? Did people talk about your exercise? Did it hurt to engage in physical activity? So all of these things, which I think is so important for you to realize, were out of your control. And they had a very real and lasting impact on your engagement of movement, how you moved in your body and how you partake and participate in physical activity now. So take some time, to reflect on this, because again, we think our movement or how much we exercise is a matter of willpower, because we're so strong or so weak, or we have virtue, or that because we're lazy. But what I want you to realize that your relationship with exercise begins not now. It began when you were so young, and many of these factors were out of your control. So if you want to pause the video to reflect on that, it might be wise to do that, just so you could see this journey you've had in your body and how you regarded physical activity growing up. So it's interesting because I've had a long work history in the fitness spaces. In fact, one of my first jobs in high school was at a gym. I worked at the front desk. In fact, in the gym, I've done practically every role. I've worked at the front desk. I sold gym memberships. I was a personal trainer. I've done so much. In fact, even my professional career, I did corporate wellness. I did wellness spaces in university environments and medical environments, and eating disorder clinics. All that is physical activity and food rich. And so I want to share some of my experiences with you, just so you could have a broader perspective of this physical activity and how you might be relating to it in ways that you might not even realize. So one thing that really stood out in all of these environments is that trainers, personal trainers, class instructors, and even athletes used exercise, many of them, not all of them, were using their participation and exercise and movement to purge their food, to burn their calories, to compensate for what they ate. Again, I'm not saying all of them, but many of them. And so what I feel is so ironic, many of the people go to the gym or go to these trainers or, look up to these athletes and idealize what they do with exercise, when in fact they may be having their own issues. In fact, on university campuses, there are professionals, therapists, psychiatrists, physicians, nutritionists, dietitians, following the athletes to make sure that they don't fall into disordered patterns around eating and exercise. Furthermore, it was interesting during the time that I was a trainer that I would help, clients make their bodies stronger. They'd have more energy, they'd sleep better, they'd pop out of bed feeling more bushy-eyed. However, if the scale wasn't doing what they wanted to, they felt like their exercise, that there was something wrong with it. And so many people have, see exercise, the only benefit of it, as a way to reduce weight or to control weight. And actually, in a bit, I'm going to talk about the several benefits of movement and exercise beyond weight control or weight loss. So let me see if there's anything else that I want to share. Again, I've worked at several gyms, and oftentimes, and you may have noticed this yourself if you've ever exercised at a facility, that there would be somebody who would come regularly and go straight to their machine and be on that machine. And when you look at them, it looks like they're almost killing themselves on that piece of equipment. In fact, several times I was the one who would have to go and on behalf of the facility and talk to this person to make sure that they were being safe and that they were okay. And I feel what is so interesting is one of the times when I went to speak to this person, that person was actually a specialist in eating disorders. And I was like, wow, how ironic is this? So again, keeping your eyes open and being aware of this is so important. So I just want you to take some time to reflect on yourself. What is your physical activity level right now? How do you engage in physical activity? How often do you move? What types of things are you doing? Do you enjoy it? What are the things that you're telling yourself about what you're doing or what you're not doing? Is there judgment around movement? Are you doing things that feel healthy for your body and promote wellness? You see, one time I had a client who would force herself to walk daily even though she had a knee injury and put herself at risk for needing a knee replacement. So not all exercise, not all movement is going to be good for everybody. That's really important for you to know. The next thing I want you to think about is the exercise that you're doing. Is it good for your mind? I had another client who would play tennis regularly after work, and she would leave stressed. She would feel more depleted at the end of her workout because she didn't feel like she enjoyed the competition or the stress of the game. So you also, when you reflect on your exercise, is it conducive to a healthy, relaxed, serene mind space? And finally, does the exercise that you're doing promote a connection with your body? I had a client who was a yoga teacher who had joint issues, and doing yoga, actually, to be able to do yoga, she had to tune out the pain and the discomfort in her body. So those are some things I want you to think about when you reflect on your current level of exercise and physical activity. And as you reflect on this, I also want to give you some indicators or signs of, compulsive exercising or over-exercising. And when I share this with you, I don't want you to only think about yourself and how you're relating with exercise. I also want you to think of your friends, your families, your kids, your parents, your loved ones, because, again, over-exercising is promoted so much in our culture that we need to keep an eye out for other people as well. So some indicators that there may be a problem is that, exercising daily, not taking rest days regularly. If the person is injured, that they're still pushing themselves to exercise, or if their exercise is causing injury, or if they're sick or they're ill and they're still pushing themselves to work out, or if they miss a day, they're irritable and they're feeling stressed about it. God forbid they miss multiple days. In fact, they're willing to miss out on social engagements just to exercise. These are some indicators that there could be a problem. On the flip side, I want to share with you some of the wonderful benefits of engaging in physical activity that have nothing to do with the shape or the size of your body. And these things are so important because, one of the great benefits of physical activity is being in a fantastic mood. You're more likely, it helps improve mood, less stress and less anxiety, improves learning, memory, and focus, helps improve self-esteem and confidence. It's healthy for your bones, strengthens your heart, strengthens your muscles, boosts energy, and prevents all types of chronic diseases like cancer, heart disease, and so much more. Not to mention, engaging in physical activity could be a great way to connect with other people. You could learn a whole new skill, and believe it or not, it could be fun. So that being said, on the flip side, I want you to know that you never have to exercise. Yeah, you heard me right. This is a big surprise for people to hear me say. Don't get me wrong, I love physical activity. I love to participate in it. I promote it. But the truth is, you could live a long life and never be active. In fact, when I worked in the hospital, I was surprised by how many people in their 90s and above were totally sedentary. And they didn't even have that many health problems. So I thought that was so fascinating. Again, I'm not saying don't exercise. I just want you to know, you can live a long life and never engage in physical activity. However, people make a mistake of pairing up physical activity and food. Because as I said before, physical activity, you never need to do it. In fact, in your life, it's going to come and go. However, if you pair up physical activity with eating, if you tell yourself, oh, I'm engaging in exercise, so, I'm going to eat well. Oh, now I'm not exercising, so whatever, all of it's out of the window. This is a big mistake people make. When you pair these two up, you may set yourself up for some issues, because the truth is, exercise is going to come and go in your life. However, you need to eat. And not only do you need to eat every day, you need to eat multiple times a day, and you need to eat to keep yourself alive. So these are two totally different things. So my recommendation is to unpair these things. And, and you've seen I have so many videos on eating, but let's take some time to reflect on physical activity and being the kind of mover that you want to be. So again, if you want, take out that pen and paper and take some time. You could do it now. You could pause the video to reflect on the type of mover that you want to be. When you see the ideal future you, what type of movement are you engaged in? What type of physical activity are you participating in? Do you see yourself taking regular yoga classes? Do you see yourself turning on your headphones and dancing in the living room? Do you see yourself going on regular walks after dinner? Do you see yourself roller skating with your kids, gardening in your backyard? What do you see? Take some time to reflect on the type of mover that you want to be. Are you out in nature, going on a hike? So when you imagine that type of mover, does this mean that you're gonna need to exercise more, to participate in physical activity more? If so, be gentle with yourself as you gradually increase how much you move. Big mistake people make is they go from not moving at all to saying, I'm going to, exercise 7 days a week next week. No, move up gradually. And if you haven't been physical activity, definitely clear it with your physician to make sure it's safe for you to do so. And to do so, to increase your physical activity gradually. And a great thing to do is to calendar it in if this is something new for you. On the flip side, for some of you watching, I know, when you think about the ideal you and how you're engaging in movement, it may mean moving less. And if that's the case, I also recommend that you do that gradually, and that you're loving with yourself and that you're gentle with yourself as you gradually decrease how much you may be moving. And you also want to reflect on, if I'm not exercising, what activity am I putting in its place? So it can feel really good, and it can feel like a new way of taking care of yourself. So I want to end by saying your body loves to move. It's meant to move. You have muscles, you have ligaments, you have bones, you have all of that for a reason. And part of your work in this body, part of your job, is to identify what types of movement makes all of you feel great, and how much of that movement your body thrives off of. So I hope this video was helpful. Please comment below on how you are going to use this information or your favorite takeaway. I know it's not about food, but it's, oftentimes physical activity and food are linked for some people. So I thought it was worth talking about. And I also want to thank you all for your wonderful comments. I love hearing your feedback. I love knowing your participation, that you're there, that I'm talking to somebody. And thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you like this video, I invite you to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.